In 2008, Dead Space redefined survival horror with its atmospheric tension, claustrophobic environments, and grotesque, freaky enemies. And since then, it's become one of the most well-known survival horror games in the world. In 2023, Motive Studio released their incredible remake of Dead Space. And that's the version I'm going to be talking about today. Mostly because I tried getting the original to work on my PC and it wouldn't even open. So grab your plasma cutter, because we're about to venture deep into the necromorph-infested halls of the USG Ishimura. Dead Space opens with a mission brief. The USG Kellyan is en route to the Aegis system, which is the current location of the mining vessel known as the infamous USG Ishimura. Fun fact, from Japanese, Ishi translates to stone or rock, and Mura translates to village or town. So, Ishimura is interpreted to translate to stone village or rock town, which makes sense because it's a mining vessel. We play as Isaac Clarke, a spaceman engineer and ship systems specialist. We've been tasked to investigate the Ishimura because it's experienced a communications blackout, and we've been appointed to fix the issue. The other people on our team are a woman called Kendra Daniels, a computer specialist, Zach Hammond, a chief security officer, and two security personnel called Haley Johnston and Aidan Chen. Don't get attached to these people. Save your energy. We then cut to Isaac watching a video log from his girlfriend, Nicole. I think it's a little bit of an odd decision that they don't decide to make her his wife, because I feel like that would have made the story more compelling, and it would have made us want to save her even more, but I digress. Isaac says that this video log is the first time that he's heard from Nicole in weeks, and voices his difficulties dealing with being apart for 6 months with only video calls to interact with each other. Nicole also works on the Ishimura as a medical officer. We swiftly arrive at Aegis 7 as the Kellyan exits hyperspace and makes visual contact with the sexiest planet cracker we've ever laid our eyes on. Upon our approach, we attempt to contact the Ishimura, which doesn't work. I highly doubt we have service all the way out here in the middle of space. Eventually, someone does pick up, but all we receive is a very quick and completely unintelligible transmission. Isaac correctly assumes that this is due to the problems with the communication array, to which him and Daniels discuss how a complete communications blackout on one of these ships is unheard of. He says he and Daniels can have it fixed in 48 hours max, and how he hopes that he'll also have enough time to catch up with Nicole. Good luck with that, buddy. Hammond orders Chen and Johnston to land the ship on the other ship. But remember, this is a survival horror game, so we're not allowed to have an easy escape plan. Our gravity tether gives up on us, which causes our ship to dock both off course and way too fast. Well, now that our ship is officially out of business, we figure it's best to just head into the Ishimura and look for a minimum wage worker to yell at. We head over to the reception and sign in. This gives us our first taste of the tension this game builds. As soon as we sign in, the system syncs to our rig, which is basically our ID, and it generates our life support, and allows us to communicate with other crew members. It's also the diegetic health bar in the game, which is awesome. Anyway, back to the tension building. The computer tells us to grab our kinesis and stasis modules from the chief engineer. It attempts to track down his location, but glitches and states,
"Employee not found."
And right after this, Hammond tells us that he can't reach security. Now that we've been thoroughly confused and have begun the uphill battle of terror, we head through the door into the flight lounge. This place looks like Boogie's wallet. Desolate. Isaac heads into the security room to grab a damage report from the console. Oh shit, well that's not good. But you know what's worse than that damage report? This. Isaac, I know this is traumatizing, but can I suggest that we fucking book it? Oh, safe and sound in the elevator. Safe to say that we're in the thick of it now. Shout out KSI. We really do have a moment to breathe now, so Isaac grabs one of the most well-known video game weapons ever, the plasma cutter. There's a blood message above the workbench which tells us that we need to cut off all the limbs of the enemies to kill them. That's very helpful. Thank you, Tutorial Ghost. We grab some ammo and begin making our way alone through the ship. Isaac's first obstacle is, fuse? Fuse. So, We break company property to unlock the door in front of us. But there's a molester on the other side who attacks a crewmate. And I don't think HR allows stuff like that, so... But just to be sure... We make our way down a dimly lit hallway into another jump scare. Let me just see if there's anything down here. Is that a shiny? Oh, fuck you, little wanker! To save myself sounding like a broken record, every time I arrive in a new place, getting there meant that I had to walk down a dimly lit hallway. Good? Good. So after walking down a dimly lit hallway, we enter the tram control room. Doing this triggers a FaceTime call between us survivors, minus Haley, because she's still on the ship. Hopefully. Daniels expresses her happiness that we're not dead. We grieve over Chen for about 3 seconds, and Isaac deduces that the necromorphs are the Ishimura crew, meaning the outbreak is an infection rather than an invasion. Hammond says that we need to get to the bridge, because he thinks someone has to be there, and drops that there are at least 1,000 people on board, so potentially, at maximum, that means there's 1,000 necromorphs on this ship. But the tram system is busted, and everything is on lockdown because of the quarantine. That sounds all too familiar. And there's also a broken tram blocking the track, because of course there is. In order to get the spare tram, I alone have to go and get it, because it's on my side of the lockdown. Amazing. On the bright side, Hammond offers us some comfort and says Nicole is going to be alright. I wasn't even thinking about her, to be honest. I have myself to worry about. Alright, best we get a move on then. Ooh, someone had a bad time in there, holy shit. A pop-up reminds me to cut off the enemy limbs, which gives me the same reaction as seeing a press shift to sprint sort of pop-up. Pure anxiety. There's no way this motherfucker is dead. Now that he's taken care of, we can interact with the fuse box to give power to the maintenance bay door and head in. Hammond roleplays as Captain Obvious and calls us to say that we need to cut off the necromorph limbs. Thanks, Hammond. We get ambushed by a couple more doinks, but they're no match for us. Before calling the elevator though, I decide to double back and see what's in the cargo hall. You little motherfucker, get your ass back here. Don't run away from me. So what sort of goodies do I get from this cargo room? A bronze semiconductor, some more ammo, some credits, and a node. Skedaddling to the tram tunnel, a body falls from the currently stuck tram, but we move further down and find a perfectly severed hand.
Ooh, piece of candy.
Isaac, man, you might not want to touch that. This hand offers us a stasis module, so now we can do this. Hell yeah, dog, now we have the ability to slow down the necros. Eventually, we arrive in the tram repair room and can finally get the replacement underway. So, we open the shutters, which brings in the broken tram, but the autoloader is malfunctioning, so we have to do it manually. Get used to hearing that as well. We can't do it in peace though, as a couple more necros jump out to party with us. But we don't want to party, so we take their lives. All that's left now is to attach the loading arms to the tram. The first one goes on fine, but we have to stasis the second arm as it connects to the tram, which locks it in place. Now we can bring it over to be discarded, and a shiny new one gets brought out to replace the broken one. Ba-boom! Now we're halfway done with fixing it. Next, we have to find a new data board, because the one in the tram control is fried, and we can't control the trams without it. As we're running back, we come across an acid-spitting enemy, and true to its namesake, it spits acid at me. Luckily for us,
I'm acid-proof.
So we make it back to the maintenance bay, and back to the elevator that I didn't use the first time. It does what all elevators are made to, and transfers us to a different floor. And on this floor, there's another necro playing possum. Wanker. In order to give power to the room that we need to get into, we either have to remove power from the lights or from the elevator. What the frick, man? Just let me keep my lights. Fuck. And there's the board that we need. A+ looting. This is also the room where we get to use the upgrade bench for the first time. The way that the upgrades work in this game is super cool. You first have to find nodes when exploring the ship, and these nodes can be used to get upgrades for your guns. These upgrades being things such as reload speed, damage, mag capacity, and the same goes for the suit, health, oxygen, and so on. Each weapon also has a special upgrade, which you can buy from the stores or find them scattered across the space station. I love this idea of even the upgrades being part of the scavenging survival elements, instead of just using the usual XP system. Anyway, we get back to the tram station, stick the data board in place where it needs to go, and now we can get on the Hogwarts Express. Hammond FaceTimes us again because he's obsessed, and the first thing that he mentions is that something hit the roof of the tram car that they're in, Daniels tells us that the lockdown is lifted so we can get to the hangar, but the comms are still down. So, Hammond orders us to go back to the Kellyan in an attempt to fix it, and we do exactly that. It's still a little worse for wear, but Johnston has managed to survive. Good job, Brodette. Isaac explains the sitch to her, and she understandably panics a little. We check on the damage report for the Kellyan, and it's pretty beaten up. But as we're doing this, our attention gets grabbed by a live feed of the Singularity Core, which is the power source for our lightspeed travel. The Necros are beating the shit out of it, which is not good, and we have to evacuate the ship. Shit. We don't get a chance to mourn our ship, or Haley, before getting attacked by a new species of bitch. These are called Leapers, a lizard-like prick that's been mutated into having their lower half grow into a tail made up of Arnold Schwarzenegger's biceps. Daniels calls us to ask what the fuck just happened, and we tell her that the Kellyan is gone and Haley's dead. And she generously points out that we're now trapped after having lost our only ship. Thanks, Daniels, that's very comforting. Hammond mentions that the command computer, which is the captain's computer, would give us control of the Ishimura. But we would need to find him, or his rig, to be able to access it. So they attempt to track it down, and find out that he's dead in the medical wing. Rip Captain. Just after this, they hear a noise, and a necromorph busts into the room that they're in, and just before the call hangs up, we hear this.
Shin?
So now we need to make our way to the medical deck. I hope a cute nurse can take care of my ouchies. On the way, we come across our first door that's locked by security clearance. So I suppose we'll come back here later. And we eventually make it to the medical deck, which concludes the first chapter of the game. Because this game doesn't have official levels, this chapter starts directly after completing the first. And we begin this one by picking up another module for our super hand. This one being the Kinesis module, which pretty much gives us the fucking force. Isaac is a Jedi now. This module allows us to move big and small objects, which paves the way for some really great puzzles in the game. After this, we walk into yet another room, and in this one, there's a dying lady sitting in a pool of her own blood. She looks like a trypophobe's worst nightmare. But who cares about her? As soon as she gives in to the call of the void, we get to take her weapon, the pulse rifle. I wish I understood this gun's potential earlier in the game. It's an automatic rifle with the capability of doubling as a grenade launcher. It's fucking sweet. After having acquired our new weapon, we finally get a chance to ride the tram. It's so fucking exciting. Oh my god, watch this. Holy moly, what a rush, am I right? Anyway, we head ever closer to medical, and our path is immediately blocked by some boxes. But Isaac can now control boxes with his Jedi mind powers, so we move them. We get to the security station, and it's a crime scene. Broken windows, blood everywhere, dead bodies and furniture thrown about. I can tell this place is going to make me feel so welcome. The entrance to the morgue is blocked by a quickly crafted barricade. So, Isaac develops a plan to MacGyver a bomb using a hydrazine tank and a shock pad. But Hammond raises a good point. What if they barricaded the morgue to keep something in rather than keeping something out? As Isaac ponders on that epically daunting idea, we go and grab the parts that will have the ATF knocking down our door. We enter the main lab of the medical wing, and our rig manual teaches us how to impale enemies with sharp objects. Thank you, rig manual. Then the lights shut off and make me shit my pants. But it's okay, because I have a sharp object to protect me. Shit. I'll just use my new gun instead. A few more bum lickers attack us, but we stand on business and kill them all. After taking the elevator down, I get a chance to redeem myself with another pipe. Oh my god! Doing this epic trick deserves a reward. So, we head into Nicole's office and steal some med packs. There's an audio log on her desk which we listen to, and it's a personal log from Nicole. She mentions a patient of hers called Harris who suffers from some sort of delusion, and she's testing zero-G therapy on him, which sounds like it would be so fun. But this is unfortunately cut short by her then talking about another doctor called Mercer, who apparently keeps interfering and claims that Harris's delusions are religiously significant, whatever the f*** that means. She says she'll make a complaint if she has to, and how she doesn't want to lose another patient to unitology bullshit. After hearing this audio log, Isaac's rig starts trying to track Nicole's rig, but the results are inconclusive. I think she might be dead, Isaac. Move on, find a new girlfriend, you'll be alright. We then enter the office of Dr. Terrence Kine, and get to witness a holographic conversation between him and the captain.
Ben, what in God's name is happening down there?
Precisely that. God's word.
How can you say that? These deaths at the colony, the paranoia, the hallucinations. You wanted a scientific analysis? Cause and effect? Well, it all began after they raised the marker.
What are you so worried about? The marker is divine. We know this. Look, it'll be on board tomorrow. You can study it then. Put your mind at ease.
At ease? People are dying. How can that be the transformation the teachings promise?
We're witnessing a new beginning. Terrence, for unitology, for humanity. Of course our faith is being tested. Everything is about to change.
That's what worries me. And recording. Seal entry.
Ooh, we get some mystery about this marker thingy. We'll talk more about this later. Let's continue our adventure. Oh god. What the fuck is that? Oh, it's like a babe. It's a fucking baby. This right here is what happens when you don't vaccinate your kids. These are called lurkers, and it's the result of an infant's corpse being infected by the necromorph plague. They have 3 gross tentacles that sprout from their back, which makes them a bitch to take down because they can Spider-Man their way on walls and ceilings and shoot sharp quills at you from above. But I think the bigger question is, why are there baby corpses on the Ishimura? I'm assuming they were used as test subjects for whatever their experiments were, like lab-grown babies. So, now that we've been blessed to witness that monstrosity, we better get in there and attempt to exterminate them. Gross, 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 gross! Oh shit, I guess I was right. Lab-grown kids. Ew. Moving on, we enter the limb stimulation therapy in order to shut off power to the shock pads so we can grab them for our own use. Now that we have those, we can go and search for a hydrazine canister. Whilst looking for said canister, we come across another horrible sight. Even on the Ishimura, on a spaceship in the year 2508, you will still find Genshin Impact players. Take a shower. Going through the door into imaging diagnostics. Whoa, that's pretty. Ugh, not you. We use the force on a generator, which we can stick into the wall, powering the elevator. Oh, what the fuck? Can't get me from in there, stupid. Where'd he go? Come on. You can do it.
I'm coming for you!
Look at him, he's trying so hard.
Yoink! Hello!
Now that we've got that sorted, we finally arrive at zero-G therapy. This is the first time that we're fittingly introduced to the zero-G mechanic. Pressing L1 and R1, you can activate the boosters in your boots and shoulders, which allows you to be Superman, without the super strength, lasers, durability, pretty much all of the stuff that makes Superman, Superman. Considering I'm on the topic, the zero-G stuff is really cool. You have all this debris and shit just sort of floating around, the audio becomes muffled, and it's also really fucking disorientating. After passing the floaty chasm, we pillage a hydrazine canister from the maintenance room, which means that we can finally create a homemade bomb and blow up the barricade outside the morgue. So let's head back. During the pleasant walk back, our Pookie Bear Hammond calls us again just to tell us that the necromorph Chen almost killed him. Great, thanks for the update. He also tells us that he trapped Chen in an escape pod. Wait, hold on. So you're telling me that there's escape pods? Why aren't we breaking our legs to get in one of those? Isaac, let's just give up on Nicole. Just sprint over to one of those escape pods and let's get the fuck out of here.
Bomb has been planted.
Morgue time, baby. The first thing of note in this room is an upgrade part for the plasma cutter. This place is, cozy. Nicole! Isaac, this is close enough to the real her. Just take the holo recorder and get off this floating brick. All she does in this hologram is point out her patient's wounds and say that she might have some medicine left. Wicked. That puts all of the jigsaw pieces together. As we're porting a generator from one place to another, we get ambushed by disease-ridden children, so we have to pacify them. We stick the generator in a hole that powers the door to the hallway and head in, just to be attacked by another baby and a leaper.
Oh shit.
I attempt to throw the dead body at the lizard man, but it doesn't have an effect. What a fucking odd sentence. The enemies do die from the bullets that I shoot at them though, and our reward for this is an audio log. Dr. Kine says that the situation on Aegis 7 was much worse than reported, and that 40% of the colony's population is showing symptoms of depression, hallucinations, violence, and eventually dying. Before the log ends, the doctor mentions Brant Harris, and that he might be our last hope, whatever that means. Well, on that bombshell, let's continue. Oh. Okay, cool. Here we are. The morgue. What the fuck? And we're finally in the land of the dead. Well, I guess the room of the dead, but that sounds less exciting. Heading into the autopsy room, we find Captain Gray's body, but then Steve Irwin's nemesis face fucks the corpse until it reanimates. And thinking quick on his feet, or back in this case, Isaac picks up a fire extinguisher and extinguishes the captain's ribcage with it before cutting his limbs off. Then a new group of gooners attack us, and fail, which means we get a chance to get back to the captain and take his rig. Jumping on another call with Hammond, we tell him about the little stingray pricks that bring the dead back to life, and he tells us to head back to the security station and upgrades our clearance. Now we can open the level 1 doors. During the elevator ride on our way back to the security station, an explosion goes off which we can feel in the elevator. We get another call from Hammond. Oh my god bro, just fuck off for 5 minutes. He calls us to say that the engines have ran out of fuel and the whole ship is now decaying orbit towards Aegis 7. We're gonna be a bunch of jam-filled pancakes if we don't get this shit fixed soon. Hammond advises us to get back to the flight deck because there's a shortcut from there to engineering. So we do exactly that. Once arrived, we get another fucking call from Hammond, who tells us that there's a broken down cargo lift past the hangar doors. He then proceeds to open said doors, and we enter zero gravity. We get to cosplay as Superman again, and fly across the large cargo area. As we come up on the cargo lift, 2 gross children climb out of the hole, so we must exterminate them like roaches. And now we can make our way down. I clutch an oxygen recharge with 5 seconds left on the meter, and open a dope-ass circular door to the engineering deck. Unfortunately for Isaac, we come across another engineer dead. I mean, I have to make sure. Oh, what the fuck is that? This begins the next evolution of the virus. All this shit from this point on starts becoming more slimy and f***ing gross, which I have to admit, I kinda love. It's like the mold from Resident Evil. It just gives off this grotesque horror vibe that works really well. We eventually reach the engineering deck and activate the control console, which gives us a readout of the new chores that we need to do. God, it's like I'm 13 again. The centrifuge is offline, the primary engine is also offline, and the thrusters are also out of fuel. As we talk about how we're getting dragged down to Aegis 7 like an Australian trying to swim with a kangaroo, Isaac mentions that
we're tethered to a 4 trillion ton payload. Without the engines, it's dragging us down to the planet.
Anyway, let's actually go off and fix all these issues. The first thing you come across in this engineering area is the Ripper. Once again, another weapon that I wish I understood the capabilities of earlier on. The Ripper is an industrial grade saw which, in universe, would have been used to cut metal and or rock for repairs, or resource gathering or some shit like that. But its function from a gameplay perspective is to spin big fucking saw blades at Mach 2 before launching them into a necromorph and cutting them right in half because you're a badass space engineer who don't take shit from no monster. Its primary fire spins a saw blade a few inches from the front of the weapon itself and allows you to bring that saw blade right up against an enemy's penis. This main fire mode also stun locks the enemy that you're damaging. Anywho, we come across a broken down monorail elevator, which we have to use our Jedi mind powers on, but I decide not to get on it, so I swoosh over to the north fuel injector. We yank some obscure object down to another one, which, in turn, refuels the north engine. During our journey back to the monorail, one Necro says hello, so I impale him with a large pipe. But this causes another Necro to get upset and try to attack us. Was that it? Oh! So I blow him up. Monorail time! Woo! A little boring, but we do eventually have some guests. They're not very nice, and seemingly trained by camels to spit their stomach acid at Isaac. We take care of the small orgy and find a fuel station keycard sitting on a workbench. Daniels calls us this time, which is a nice change of pace, and tells us that she barricaded herself in the computer core and says that she's tracked Isaac's rig and knows that we're in engineering. So, she should be able to get admin privileges to the area and help us out. In order to refuel the south engine, we have to divert power away from either the lights or the life support. So naturally, I choose to turn off the life support. I'd rather suffocate in the light than get attacked by monsters in the dark. Hammond calls us to say that we have a quarter tank's worth of fuel, but that should be enough to get the engines fired back up. Isaac then mentions we still need to get down to the centrifuge and get that working before the restart. Here in the decontamination room, we decontaminate. By doing so, we get locked in the room, and as soon as we're locked in the room, a group of necromorphs jump us. Yeah, fuck this place. And here we are, the room of the centrifuge. We have to make our way down to each pillar? Big sticky out pole. We then have to use our kinesis and stasis modules to stick one end into the other end. And I'm sure you can also guess that whilst I'm trying to do my job, I've got little lizard people leaping at me like Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine. Who are you? Where are you? Give me explosive. Oh, hello. You're an idiot. And once both things are connected to the other stuff, we can get back up to the console and clickety-clack some buttons, which causes the centrifuge to restart. Although, why does restarting it make the blast doors open? That seems a little unsafe. I could have had my balls sucked out of my body if it wasn't for this suit. But what's more dangerous than that? This. Come on, Isaac, you can make it. Please. Please! He couldn't make it. He was too slow. Don't follow my lead on this one. Apparently I'm retarded. But before we leave this area, we do get to witness this beautiful sight. No. Moving on. Oh, what the f is that? Get this fucking moldy gabagool off me. Whew. Now that we've moved past a few of the first roided up fetish tentacles, let's continue our spaceship journey, yeah? Oh, Daniels. Thank God it's you this time and not Hammond. I think that guy's a bit obsessed. Can we just get off this ship together and leave him behind? Oh, Hammond is also on this call. What's up, man? How are ya? She tells us that she managed to crack some secure files and found some deeply vital super secret information. Turns out that the CEC, which stands for Concordance Extraction Corporation, arrived at Aegis 7 for more than just a mining claim. The outbreak that is currently making the Ishimura look like the inside of a smoker's lungs started on the colony that's down on the planet after they dug up an artifact, which she then mentions is something alien. I mean, yeah, if it's not from Earth, then of course it is. This explains why Aegis 7 is meant to be off limits. As soon as the miners found the artifact, which is the marker by the way, they reported hallucinations, paranoia and suicides. But the Ishimura brought the marker on board anyway. Almost like that was the plan all along. Hammond asks where the marker is now, and we're told it's in cargo, packaged up and ready for delivery. Dun dun dun! Brother, what's that, brother? Yeah, so these things are basically just a new form of roadblock. They halt your progress until you shoot them. Basically just a biological tumour version of buttons to open a door. So, we make our way into the engine room, and you're lucky that I've got the background video muted, because this is how fucking loud it is in game. There seems to be a theme with every new area you enter, because just after going through the doors to the engine room, you find a motherfucking Elon Musk branded flamethrower, baby. There's not much to say about this really. I mean, it's a flamethrower. It throws the flame. I'm fairly sure it's just for these little critters that now start appearing once you're in this area. It doesn't seem to do much against the bigger necromorphs. We have to squeeze our way through two very squishy walls of shit from a butt, and as we're doing so, we get a quick little jump scare as we're moving past a vent. I would not be touching this shit if I were you, Isaac, even with gloves on. Oh, you little bastard. Oh, this place is just Asmongold's house. God, I don't even remember what I was supposed to be doing. So these are the freaky little wall guys that now start appearing. Officially, these guys are called Guardians. This necromorph mutation, as you can see, has fused to the walls of this flesh environment. They always remain encased in the wall, but will use tentacles to attack you. They can also spit out little pods which also have tentacles, and those tentacles shoot projectiles at you. Fun times, really. So, our first order of business in this area is to remove the orange glowing cysts, which also demolish all the cancer gloop. Oh shit, dude, what's up? You good? You feeling alright?
No!
This is the next new enemy on the list, appropriately called the Pregnants. They're fat pricks that explode in a pool of babies if you damage their stomachs enough. But other than that, they're really no different than the usual Necros. So after we've accumulated all the diseases one could imagine, we head to the engine room, which has a whole Black Ops Zombies wave worth of necromorphs. But it also gives us a few canisters of, I suppose, stasis energy, which, of course, I use to my advantage, and take them out. Now we have to grab a generator, power cell, battery, whatever the fuck, in order to begin the ignition sequence of the engines. Doing this starts another round. This room just hates the fact that I have ammo. Let's fire these damn engines back up. Oh, look who's calling me again. What do you have to say this time?
Isaac, you did it. The Ishimura's moving again.
Great, man. Thank you for telling me that the station is moving after I just activated the engines. He then tells us that he's got the autopilot to navigate us through the debris of the planet cracking, acting all cocky, saying the ADS, Asteroid Defense System, will protect us from the debris. But, because he's a fucking idiot, he doesn't check with the one person who has all of the info of what does and doesn't work. So, Daniels lets us know that the ADS systems are actually offline. Great, another thing that we have to fix. All because Hammond can't talk to women. So he tells us to disable the tram lockdown and meet him in the bridge. Straight after this conversation, we receive...
Nicole? I'm here. Nicole! Damn it.
Holy shit, she's alive? This chapter begins with exactly what I said just 2 minutes ago. We get on the tram and ride it over to the bridge. As soon as we do, you guessed it, Hammond calls us. He tells us that the ADS cannons are a mess. I mean, if they're less fucked than all that goopy shit we had to deal with, I think I'll be fine. More interestingly though, Daniels jumps in after Hammond says he won't lose the Ishimura. She claps back and accuses him of caring about the marker and not the Ishimura. I do love a bit of tension. So anyway, let's make our way to Hammond. Alright then. F you. Here we are. This is beautiful. Can't we have anything nice? What's up, man? Oh yeah, you managed to capture Chen. What's the plan now? I mean, we should keep the escape pods around, surely. What the fuck, Hammond? It's just one necromorph. You or I could have easily taken it down. Nice one, man. Just waste an escape pod like that. Not only did you waste an escape pod, but you've potentially now endangered whatever planet this escape pod eventually lands on. You could be the reason that the whole universe gets overrun. You f***ing pillock. Ugh. Okay, he opens the door to the captain's nest, which I will admit is really nice. I wouldn't say no to being the captain of this ship, or any other for that matter. Hammond says that the power routing to the ADS cannons is kaput. So, Isaac suggests they reroute power from the administration system. But in order to do that, he's going to have to rewire the junction boxes. And now that Hammond has a chance to speak directly to us without Daniels, he tries to preach his innocence. I really don't care, dude. I'd kill both you and Daniels if it meant that I got the chance to get off this floating ball of spit. Isaac, however, tries to stay neutral. He doesn't really know Hammond or Daniels well enough to have an opinion. But he does agree that CEC had to have known about the marker. So, these junction boxes. To get to them, Hammond informs us that we need to turn the atrium elevators back on, and to do that, we need to go to security. He also managed to find an executive CEC keycard, which he's going to use to upgrade our clearance. Let's fucking go!
And you upgraded yours already?
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah, okay bud. Just in case. Upon returning to the bridge, something starts banging on the door. This something turns out to be a big f***ing ogre.
Oh, hello there!
This big boy is called a brute. It's basically the tank enemy that almost every game has. It's got heavily mutated skin, which acts as armor, and will steamroll you if you get too close. But I'm too good at video games to let that big bitch touch me, and after an army's worth of ammo is expended, it keels over and dies. Just after defeating the brute, you can find a video log. In summary, this video log is set during the beginning of the outbreak and includes Dr. Kyne, who reveals the necromorph infection is spreading faster than anticipated, and the crew is failing to contain it. This is also the video log in which Kyne confesses to the captain that the marker is the cause of the outbreak. But we already knew this, so let's just skip over it. I will say this though, He does urge anyone who's listening to destroy the marker. However, he isn't sure if it can be destroyed, so I guess that's our new plan. Eventually we reach the records office, and in here we receive the contact beam. Oh man, this thing is so sick. It's a portable fucking mining laser, and it shoots a continuous beam of energy like it's fucking Iron Man's suit or something. In universe, it would have been used to cut asteroids. After this, we enter the mining administration room, which has some broken panels that are conducting electricity, and somehow creates beams of electricity which can zap us if we get too close. There's also a group of Necros in here, obviously, but that's not an issue. Once we've cut our way through the enemies, we reroute power from mining to the ADS cannons. Doing this causes another wave of enemies to spawn, as usual. After a few more minutes of exploring, we come across a break room. And if you know the game, you know what this room is. For anyone who doesn't, this room is basically the Easter egg room. Standing in the middle of this pentagram thingy, you can punch and stomp in specific orders to get audio logs and such. And these are the codes if anyone wants them. As you can imagine, a new room means more enemies. This room, which has some dope fucking matrix screens, contains another brute. He's a pushover though, so don't worry. Oh, look who it is. Daniels tells us that she's cracked into the MedSci reports. What does that even mean? MedSci? Anyway, she talks about how the Necros create themselves, how the dead tissue gets molded into a new form, how those stingray bitches infect corpses and then the rest just kill more people to be infected. It's a fun conversation, until she also mentions that all the gross shit on the walls is also dead tissue, so it's just liquid corpses. Ugh. Hammond calls us again for the 500th time. What do you want, Hammond?
Auto-targeting offline. Calibration data not found. Fuck. No auto-targeting. The cannons are useless.
What about manual targeting?
You want to go out there with all that shit raining down and target the ADS cannons manually?
If I give the cannons enough targeting data, it'll recalibrate the system. You got a better idea?
Christ. I'll open exterior access. I hope you know what you're doing.
Actually, that sounds pretty awesome. I think for the sake of time and such, I'm just going to rearrange the speed of this video and jump from one important section to the next, rather than talking about all the smaller pieces as well. So, let's get this shit done. We're outside with the cannons, and like Isaac mentioned in the phone call, we have to manually recalibrate them so they can keep the ship from being bombarded by big rocks.
Calibration complete.
And ba-boom! Sorted! The cannons work again. Just after we get back inside and shake off the cold, Hammond lets us know that there's a distress call being transmitted. And who by? Nicole!
Medical is a sanctuary. All survivors, please join us.
Isaac immediately decides to run back to medical to find her, so let's do that. Oh fuck! It's a trap! Isaac attempts to call Daniels, but it seems our communications have been cut off, just like the rest of the Ishimura. Over the intercom, a doctor starts speaking to us. He's a bit excited about the fact that he's seen us, another survivor, and he tells us that we're going to be safe. But he says it like a stranger trying to get you into their van, so I don't believe it for a second. Isaac asks the strange man if Nicole is here as well, and we get a cryptic response. The mystery man says that Nicole is busy, but offers to send us to her. Dude, can you stop being a creepy fuck?
How about you unlock these doors, and I'll find her myself?
Are you that selfish? You might let something in. Or out.
Shit.
So, you've decided to be difficult. Take a seat. I'll deal with you momentarily.
Fuck this shit, Isaac. We're escaping. What is this guy doing? Are these patients or are these experiments? He claims that there is patients, and he says that he's researching them, looking for a missing factor. From this info alone, it's safe to guess he's either looking for a cure, or he's trying to make the infestation worse. Either way, he's as delusional as the Arkham subreddit. After fighting our way through quite the gauntlet in search for Nicole, we finally come across the transmission, which is in the chemical lab. What is that? Well, I don't really know what I was expecting, but I am still a little sad it's not her. Isaac really deserves a win, holy shit. I mean, I guess a hologram girlfriend is better than no girlfriend.
Isaac, make us.
Fuck, it was another trap.
Isaac Clarke.
Turns out that the doctor we heard over the intercom is actually Dr. Mercer, and he's a massive delusional prick. He spiels a monologue at us, which consists of his ramblings about his belief in the marker and the necromorphs. He thinks the necroform is some sort of divine evolution, and views the turning process as sacred, and we as humanity must embrace it. He also thinks that we're a cunt for trying to stop the marker's influence, which is why he's currently trying to murder us. He also mentions something called Convergance, and says it's close, but we have no more info about it at this current moment. He then just walks away, and as he does, the big daddy in the tank behind us decides it doesn't want to swim anymore, and it breaks out. This big lad is called the Hunter. It can regenerate its limbs, which is not okay, and this means that it's actually unkillable. You can only knock it down for a few seconds each. In the fear and panic, Daniels is the ray of hope and finally gets through to us in what feels like hours since the communications blackout. We beg her to open the chemical lab, and she does. Run, Isaac! Where the fuck are we? Oh my god, all the little f***s! Oh, okay. Whew, okay. Daniels tries to tell us about Nicole's broadcast being a trap, but we already knew that, so we tell her to shut up and listen to us instead. Isaac tells her about Mercer locking down medical to experiment on people. She barely processes it, but I can't blame her for that, and we devise a plan to release the lockdown. Daniels is able to brute force the internal doors, but Isaac is going to have to get to Mercer's personal office to lift the lockdown. Not long after this call, the Hunter attacks us again, but it's really a non-issue. He's more of an annoyance than a threat. Fuck off. And not long after that, we get into the emergency equipment room and find the line gun, another mining tool which is basically the industrial version of the base plasma cutter. It fires wider beams of plasma, which, just like the Ripper, rips enemies in half. Anyway, now that we've arrived at Mercer's office, we can, well, go in. Upon entry, we can see there's a dead human body, which presumably he's experimented on, and I think it's safe to say that he killed him beforehand. He also has a dissected stingray thingy up on the wall. Again, we can assume he's been inspecting its gutty works and such, but we're not here to lick it, so let's just get this lockdown disengaged.
Who's there?
Whoa, holy shit, he's alive.
Save hydroponics. We're all dying. Air's poison, but there's still time. Her enzyme will work if... She just needs liquid nitrogen. Save us!
Wow. That was, as intriguing as it was useless, thank you. I suppose we should check out hydroponics. Daniels calls us and confirms what the guy said is true. The air quality is dropping. Something, or someone, has poisoned the air supply. So, we run to cryogenics looking for liquid nitrogen. Quickly after the conversation about the poisoned air supply, we come across some poisoned air. This place stinks. Oh! Okay. After wading through rooms and rooms of farts, we get to the life support console in the medical waiting area and filter it all out.
Toxic hazard cleared.
And wapam! Cryogenics. Let's get this frickin' bottle of liquid nitrogen. Thankfully, it's in this clearly not a trap containment box.
Fixing the Ishimura's engines.
Who would have guessed this was a trap? Dr. Mercer locks us in the room and starts another goddamn monologue. He mentions some more bits about the Convergence and taking the infection back to Earth, because he believes that the Convergence is going to make humanity whole. There's a simpler solution to that problem, you know? Give everyone unlimited hot dogs, and then we're all going to live in peace. Okay, bye. I guess he didn't like my idea. After that boring and one-sided conversation, the Hunter reappears in attempt to fondle Isaac again. Holy shit! But this time, we have a plan. We cut off the bastard's legs, which will immobilize it in Mr. Freeze's bedroom. This then gives us enough time to run into the control room and initiate a cryogenic freeze. I think technically you're supposed to lead it into the small room in the middle, but I didn't do that and the plan still worked. Anyway, the room will then freeze the Hunter, which means we win. Foolproof. I'm not sure what the room actually does to the Hunter. I think it freezes it and sticks it in a cryopod. Someone confirm that for me down in the comments. Daniels calls us to tell us how proud she is that we beat the big stinky, but Isaac is a Sigma in training and cuts her off to tell her about Mercer's plan to send the necromorphs to Earth. He tells her to seal the captain's nest and warn Hammond.
Okay, I can seal the nest, but I haven't been able to reach Hammond since he went to the crew deck.
Shit. Well, I hope he's not dead because we can't worry about him right now. We've got some air quality to fix. We can start this chapter off by picking up the foreskin that the hunter left behind after being frozen like Walt Disney. After picking it up, you can take it into the medical wing and scan it using the DNA scanner. Scanning it reveals that the tissue belongs to Brant Harris, the guy who was mentioned to be our last hope. Putting 2 and 2 together, I think it's safe to assume that Dr. Mercer meant that Brant Harris was his last hope in developing the hunter, which is like his A+ science fair project. The machine also offers to track Harris's rig, so we authorize the tracking. This then leads us to Harris's ICU bed, and the first piece of the puzzle.
Just a sliver of bone between us and Marcus. Relax. It won't be like Aegis 7 and that unpleasantness with the nurse.
Wasn't a nurse when I did that. This errand you want me to do in ore storage. The miners won't like it.
They're probably as narrow-minded as the miners of the colony is. Tormenting someone or being a little different. Good steady.
Yeah, they do. I'm ready.
God, I can see the Mantis codes. It's been trying to show me. They're hungry. They're coming. They'll make us whole. Doctor, I see it now. The marker speaks. We can't answer.
Tell me how.
Unfortunately, we can't get into the next recording yet, so let's head to a different hologram.
Look at his wounds. We can't handle so many trauma cases, and the command crew won't tell us what's happening. Season. Shit. Maybe I have some KHB left.
After that, you have to follow the hologram into a secret area of the room. To do this, grab a generator and stick it into the wall next to the showers. Now you can power them on, and move the wall behind them to reveal a hidden room for the next part of Nicole's message.
I recovered a limb after yesterday's attack. Genetically, it's human tissue with bizarre mutations. But it's just a sample. It's not enough to figure out a cure. I need... Wait, where's that report from engineering? Here. The engineers pulled something out of machinery. Limbs missing, torso intact. Okay. Time for a real autopsy.
From here, you can skedaddle all the way back to engineering, and the marker is going to lead you to the calibration room for the third part of Nicole's story. I didn't mean marker like the marker, I meant marker like the little line that you have to follow, just to clear that up.
Autopsy report, Dr. Nicole Brennan. Rig identifies the subject was junior engineer David Swenson. The subject was dismembered after falling into machinery, allowing... God. So sorry. Jesus. Some postmortem spasms. The chest contains a yellow bile seen in other specimens. I've seen this bile react to dead or bioprosthetic cells. The dead tissue is absorbed, recombined, then reanimated. The bile shares genetic markers with human DNA and a growth on walls. It's all connected to the marker from Aegis 7, but how? Dr. Kine studied the marker. Dr. Kine has vanished. Unless he's with the survivors on the mining deck. You'll rest easy now, David. I promise.
And again, from this point on, we can't get to the next piece of this side quest. So, back to the main story. On arrival to hydroponics, Daniels tells us to check our oxygen filters because of the spicy air, and notices that there's a huge mass in the food storage. Something that's too big for them to have grown, and is most likely the source for the mustard gas. Going further in, a hologram appears of Dr. Elizabeth Cross, a pre-recorded message for any survivors telling them to turn back. She says all the food is gone and her whole team is dead, killed by a monster that we're going to talk about soon enough. We enter the central hub and jam the liquid nitrogen into the enzyme control machine. This then spits out a syringe, which should be able to kill whatever's in food storage. Elizabeth then calls us in a panic. She tells us that there isn't a way into food storage, and if there was...
Even if there was, the Leviathan would devour you.
What the fuck is the Leviathan? She confirms that it is the Leviathan that's poisoning the air, and begins to talk about the enzyme that we just created. She sent out a team to do what we just did, and they never came back. So, Isaac lets her know that he's already got it covered. She then tells us that there's another way to get into food storage, and explains that her team has changed. Not into the typical Necros. They've changed into something else. They're connected to the Leviathan, and vice versa. They're one big hive mind. This means that we can find those bitch babies and inject them with the enzyme, which, in turn, is also going to affect the Leviathan. And once it's weak enough, we'll punt it into space. So let's go. During this section, Isaac talks to Dr. Cross and they bond over their missing partners, Jacob Temple for her, and obviously Nicole for us. Isaac also mentions how his mother used to do the same job as Nicole, and that's actually how her and Isaac met. Another thing of note in this section, Isaac receives a call from Nicole asking him to help her. Another thing of note in this section, Isaac receives a call from Nicole asking him to help her, but there's a little music cue behind the dialogue that seems to point out that this isn't what it seems.
Isaac, where are you? Help me.
Daniels starts to go a little loopy as well. She calls us to say that she thought she saw her little brother waving at her from one of the security cameras. Anyway, back to injecting enzymes. Now that what feels like the whole population of Salt Lake City has been injected with enzymes, let's get back to food storage and blast the Leviathan into space.
Contamination detected in food storage. Cycling airlock.
Damn it! The airlock's open, but the Leviathan's too strong. It's clinging to the interior of food storage. We need more enzyme.
There's no time. I'm going in. Maybe I can cut it loose.
Well, shit.
Entering zero gravity.
Oh, okay, fuck, let's fight. Kicking the ass of this big daddy isn't too difficult. It's got some little big tentacles with the orange weak spots that you have to shoot, and once you do that enough times, it opens its mouth to reveal another frickin' weak spot, so you gotta shoot that one too. It'll start shooting shit at you, but once you do enough damage...
Toxic hazard cleared.
The air quality's improving. There's still pockets of gas trapped here and there.
Here and there, I can handle.
Listen, Jacob... My Jacob. Last I heard, he was on the mining deck with some other survivors. He said they were building an SOS beacon.
Did they finish it?
He said it was nearly done, but I haven't heard from him in a while. I can't leave yet. I need to make sure the air is safe to breathe. But if you can find that SOS beacon, call for rescue.
I will. Mining deck. Okay, got it. And if I meet Jacob?
Tell him I'll find him. He's all I want to see.
Oh, Isaac, why are you accepting more side quests for these people? Let's just get the fuck off this thing and let everyone else fend for themselves, you silly, silly man. On our way to the mining deck, once again we get a call from Daniels. She tells us that the mining deck systems are running haywire and she needs to work on getting the elevators working. But before she can say anything more, Hammond joins in on the fun. Holy shit, he's alive. He lets us know that he's crawling through the vents like John McClane and hopes they don't hear him. Turns out, they doesn't mean the necromorphs. He's actually talking about the unitologists. They've got nothing else interesting to say, so let's keep going. After getting on the biggest elevator in the world, Isaac gets ambushed. Who would have guessed? We get to the floor that we want to get to, but it's got laser traps. So, we put some boxes in the way of them as to not have our entire body blown up. Eventually, we enter a room where we can find this audio log.
We got some freak called Harris stealing from ore storage.
Dr. Mercer sent me for osmium to complete his work.
Yeah, I don't care if God Almighty sent. You skim from CEC's profit margin, we get screwed.
God?
So, you can put that osmium down, or I can break your arms first.
I worked with people like you on Aegis 7. They'd steal my power nodes. Leave me to dig with no light.
Hey, get off me!
If when they abandon you in the dark, it's not empty. The marker whispered its revelations there. Now I understand them. Do you want to hear?
Warning. Untrained personnel may not use suit kiosk.
No, stop, please!
I said please when they shut me in. Screamed it too. I promise I won't laugh like they did.
Warning. Suit kiosk is obstructed. Serious injury may occur.
Oh God! Help me!
Oh, fucking hell, that was kind of messed up. Oh, okay, let's see what's this way then. Oh, fuck, Necro! Oh, sorry, mate, you startled me. And here we are, mining control. I love this room because it gives you a beautiful view of the asteroid that they have trapped in stasis. But just you wait, because it gets a lot better. The reason we're in here is because we want to launch an SOS beacon right out into the depths of space. And in this control room, we can do exactly that by using some launch tubes. Well, actually, no, we can't do it just yet because they're sealed. So, now we need to find the rig of Supervisor Dallas. I'm not expecting him to be alive, so let's go dig our hands into a corpse, shall we? Whilst exploring further into the depths of the mining area, we can find the first hologram log for Jacob Temple. So, grab the popcorn and let's watch it.
Hey, Liz, it's Jacob. I couldn't reach you. If you find this, I'm off deck, but I'll be right back. I got a call from another survivor. He sounded terrified. I'm gonna lock up the SOS beacon and go and get him. Best launch window's not for a while. Anyway, and he sounds like he's worth the risk. He's a doctor. Mercer, I think. About time. We caught a fucking break. I love you. Please, be careful down here.
Ah, here we are. One of the most unique set pieces in the game. From a gameplay perspective, it's super simple. You just have to grab some small meteors that are floating around the room and then throw them into the mining beam in the center of the room. I just really love this bit so much. Visually, it's such a standout piece, and it's a really nice break from the usual gameplay loop. Moving on, we find Dallas's rig in the small room on the other side of the mining beam room. Dallas's final audio log is really tragic. He locks himself and a group of Necros in the subdeck, but he's seen what the Necromorphs can do, and he hates the idea of turning into one. And he's aware of how you're supposed to kill them, so in a last-ditch effort to make sure his death will mean something, he makes a decision to cut off his own limbs to avoid killing anyone when he turns. And it's a really difficult listen, but if I had to go through it, so do you.
Supervisor Dallas, final log. I've made sure they can't leave this subdeck, but neither can I. I've seen what they do to the bodies, what they become, and I cannot let that happen to me. At least if I don't have any limbs,
and I can't kill anyone when I'm infected. Please, tell Dawn and the kids that I love them. I can't! Oh! God! Come on! One more! Oh! Come on, man! Just one more!
Further into the asshole of the ship, we can find a corridor of storage rooms. They look more like cells to me, but anyway. In one of these storage cells, there's an audio log from Nicole confronting Dr. Kyne about the marker. She says she knows the marker is responsible for the outbreak of the necromorphs, but needs to know how it's responsible. He thinks that's reasonable, and begins to explain. They both go on to talk about Mercer, because they know he's been doing some research on the marker. But Kyne refuses to tell her how to get into his office, because Mercer is a fucking nutjob. However, she manages to convince him using the power of love.
You loved Amelia as much as I love Isaac, but if I can't cure this outbreak, I'll never see him again. Please, help me.
This recording is how we get the code to Mercer's office, but Kyne ends it on this ominous bar.
Nicole, the only thing Mercer ever feared was death. Now, I doubt he's afraid of anything.
In the same room, we can find another audio log. This time, it's a conversation between Isaac and Nicole during the early days of her taking the job on the Ishimura. It's a really sweet audio log, and the voice acting really brings out the emotion of hearing Nicole thank Isaac for pushing her to accept the job. This is the point of the game where we finally begin to understand Isaac, his mentality, and the story between him and Nicole. But I'm not going to spoil anything just yet. Next on the agenda, a lovely monorail, elevator, cargo lift, whatever the fuck this is, ride. And oh look, we have some admirers here to watch. Stop looking at me!
Isaac.
Isaac, man, you were right. Holy shit, she's alive. I take back what I said, man. You shouldn't have given up. Although, she is acting a little strange. She doesn't seem to be excited or even happy to see Isaac. I mean, I get that it's a stressful situation, but she doesn't even stop to say anything about how happy she is to see that he's not just a pile of bones on the ground. Well, either way, the necromorphs aren't going to stop just for us to have a little chat, so we have to protect Nicole while she opens up the workshop so we can launch that SOS beacon. And she says she's going to catch up with us using the maintenance ducts. Alright, John McClane, you do you. At least she does say she loves Isaac before he leaves. Although, she does also say this.
I'll put things back the way they were. And make us whole again.
You're, sounding a bit like Dr. Mercer there, but I guess that's fine. It's so beautiful. Yoink! Daniels calls us. We tell her that we have the beacon and that we found Nicole. But her response just doesn't feel right. Like, at all.
Nicole helped me out.
Nicole's there.
We got separated. She'll find her way back.
She's a trooper, huh?
Of course. Now that we have the SOS beacon, we make our way back to the mining room to get the beacon sucked by the tubes. Alright, let's get this sus beacon launched into the frickin' cosmos.
Launch tubes obstructed.
Fuck! Okay. Plan B. We're gonna beat the shit out of the tethers holding the asteroid in place, and then we're gonna slam dunk the beacon into the big fucking rock, and then we're gonna launch that big bitch into space. Goodbye!
It's working. The beacon's online, broadcasting wideband.
Oh, thank the sweet baby Ray Jesus. What the fuck? Daniels, open the fucking door! Run! Whew. Now that we have a moment to fill our lungs with air again, let's take another call, shall we? The array receiver for the SOS beacon isn't responding. This is because we never actually did the job we were brought to the Ishimura to do. We never fixed the goddamn comms array. So, Daniels is going to hack the door to communications, and we're going to go and see what the fuck is up, Kyle. This chapter immediately begins with Daniels letting us know that his ship has locked the f*** in and is on their way to save us. But Isaac recognises the name of it. It's a military ship called the USM Valor, and he rightfully questions why a military ship is this far out into space.
Out on patrol? Whatever, right now I take a rescue from a fucking magpie.
Yeah. Whatever you say. So, we eventually make it to the bridge, and Daniel says that she's picking up more static over the comms. Isaac suggests that it's just the array being busted, but...
And Isaac, watch what you say. I think someone's listening in.
Oh, alright. Well, on that bombshell, let's move on.
Progress report, Captain Benjamin Matthias to Paragon Jordan, Una. This will be my last transmission. Afterwards, I'll make sure our pilgrimage can be completed without interference. We have successfully brought the Holy Marker on board. Dr. Kine, an expert on the original marker, is deciphering its secrets. Forgive me for quarantining Aegis 7. Director Eckhart's work may have been inconvenienced, but they're suffering some sort of epidemic. Regardless, Planet Crack begins tomorrow on schedule. CEC can scratch out its illegal operation now that the true prize is ours. Let's see EarthGov try to cover this up. Altman be praised. Matthias out.
I like that we get to see more stuff from the Captain, because in my mind, he'd have to be either at the centre of all of this, or he'd have some sort of war story from trying to mitigate the chaos caused by the marker. But I love the fact that in this log, we can start to see him stepping into the world of religious delusion because of the marker's influence. He also believed that it was a divine artifact that's somehow going to bring salvation, despite the mounting chaos and the multiple deaths that it's already caused, even before it fully reached outbreak level. So after that, we enter a big floaty room and have to solve a Watch Dogs puzzle in order to get the power back to the comms array. Whoa, dude, you look like a space pirate that would want to steal my appendix.
We picked up your escape pod number 47 and are en route to your position.
Oh, fuck. I absolutely have to talk about Officer Bailey. One of the side quests is to find his rig, and once you do, you get the second best audio log in the game. The first, in my opinion, is the one where the dude cuts his limbs off, because that made me feel, like, emotionally disgusted. Anyway, listen to this.
Communications log, first comms operator Bailey reporting. I want this on record. The ship is under attack, but Captain Matthias has refused to issue a distress call. And we all know why. This whole operation is illegal. Aegis 7 was sealed off. They knew it, we knew it, and we all kept our mouths shut. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is USG Ishimura calling C. Wait. Jesus. He took the whole comms array offline. It's over.
Finally! We get some explanation for something. It's not revealed specifically who broke the comms array, but the most likely person is either Dr. Mercer or the Captain. Okay, we gotta get this big ass antenna deployed. Just need to beep boop this terminal and... Motherfuck! Be gone from this place, you big squishy bastard! Okay, but I wanna talk about this boss fight. I think it's awesome because, for one, it's like the first boss fight, but it just adds on to it. For starters, you're outside the ship, so you get to see space. Secondly, you get to use the ADS cannons again, which by itself is awesome. And thirdly, it switches up the combat design of the Leviathan. Now, it sweeps the platform that you're on with its arms, and it shoots more of those balls at you, which gives it a sort of arcadey style boss fight. So anyway, we shoot the big meatball until it has a heart attack and dies. Oh, it's so f***ing sticky and gross, just look at that thing. Now I suppose we just sit and wait for this military ship. Yeah, okay, I guess I should have expected that. On our way to investigate, Hammond jumps back into our lives and asks us what the huge crash bang was. Daniels explains how Hammond is a f***ing idiot and he's the one at fault for causing this crash, because why the f*** would you ever launch an infectious and highly dangerous alien creature into space using an escape pod of a large vessel that's currently trying to launch an SOS beacon, you f***ing idiot? Well, actually, no, she didn't say that, but she does tell him the escape pod caused the ship to crash into us. Hammond butts in to tell us that he found an executive shuttle on the crew deck, and Isaac, the genius that he is, conjures a plan to pilfer the Singularity Core from the Valor, if it's intact, and bring it to the executive shuttle Hammond found. And that's going to get us all off this godforsaken ship. Chapter 9 begins, obviously, with us entering the Valor. Even though this is another spaceship, it's quite a nice change of scenery. Flying over the airlock and touching down to enter a newly crashed ship is pretty atmospheric. All things considered, this is a pretty nice ship.
Isaac, we have a problem. The Valor's carrying a 12 megaton warhead.
Oh. And that is a great example of what you should not do. What we really need to do is stabilize the warhead and launch it away from the Ishimura. And if you're wondering where the crew for the Valor is, these annoying motherfuckers are called Twitchers, and they are what's left of the crew aboard the Valor. The reanimated Marines are equipped with stasis modules, which, when affected by the necromorph infection, allows the technology to accelerate their movement, which also explains how an entire ship of trained mercenaries got overrun so quickly. But let's move on. All of a sudden, we're called by Silent Hill's very own James Sunderland. Dr. Kyne is calling us for some reason, I'm sure, but Isaac fucking hates unitologists, so he hangs up. Now that we've caught back up to the nuclear warhead room, let's do this the correct way. What you're supposed to do is not shoot the enemy in the part of it that explodes, but break the fuses that are on the pillars next to the warhead, which disables the safety clamps. Then all you have to do is find a lonesome car engine generator. No, not that. Nope, not that one either. There we go. Now you and Isaac, besties, can beat boop the console, which will stick the warhead into the cannon and shoot that bitch into infinite space. Hopefully it doesn't hit another wandering ship or some alien's home planet.
Hammond, this doesn't add up. If the Valor was just on patrol, why bring a nuke? And if they had a target, what's out here except us?
Yeah, I know. I'm downloading a munitions report right now. I'll clear your route to the engine room. Grab that singularity core and let's get out of here.
Now, some of you may be thinking, this ship wouldn't be a fun place to hang out, but that's where you're wrong. See, on this ship, you can have a little fun on a holographic shooting range. Okay, well, if you don't like the shooting range, you can always play zero gravity basketball. Or you can even hang out with Chris. Chris is missing a leg. Okay, at least you're not Hammond. He's starting to go loopy now. He thinks he can hear Chen on the rig link, and he starts to think that he locked him in that escape pod alive.
The Valor's munition load. It wasn't just a nuke. They came loaded for war, seek and destroy. This was no patrol. They knew about the Ishimura. Someone knew. We were all dead from the moment we arrived.
Eventually, we get through to the engine room and find the singularity core. Hammond is somehow inside the core room before us, and the door locks him in because the ship detects a stinky monster. It turns out that the stinky monster is Chen, and Hammond pisses me off once again by saying,
Christ, what's that thing do to you? Help me get him to the Kelly.
Oh my fucking god, Hammond. You know what? Die.
You're a joke.
Oh god.
Oh my god. My dreams. They've come true. Yoink. Oh fuck. Run, Isaac!
Incoming debris. Sealing blast door.
Alright, we're almost done, don't worry. Okay, chapter 10. We have to get to that shuttle that Hammond said was in the crew deck. Rip Bozo. And stick this singularity core into that bitch and we should have liftoff. Getting to the tram cart, Daniel calls us to let us know something in the crew deck is interfering with our signal. That thing is the marker, which means that it must be activated. And if you didn't already guess, that's not ideal. The crew deck is locked down, so the first order of business is finding the corpse of a deck supervisor and getting the override key. We just need to hope that nothing or no one gets in our way. That's a good start. I'll take that off your hands, miss. Thank you. I'm just going to take this off your hands, miss. Thank you. We get to reunite with our old friend Dr. Mercer. Not only that, but he's with Jacob Temple. Oh, hell yeah, just 3 dude bros hanging out.
No!
What the fuck, Mercer? That's a total party foul. Okay, let's break it down. Jacob Temple confronts Dr. Mercer, who, as we know, has become increasingly unhinged due to his obsession with the marker. Mercer, now fully consumed by his belief in the marker's divine power, sees the necromorph outbreak as a sacred purification. He views the transformation caused by the marker as some kind of ascension to a higher state, which, in his mind, justifies the violence and the death that it brings. But Jacob is like, nah, fuck that. I built some shit for you and you used it to do your shitty little evil experiments. And then he tries to shoot Mercer, but he has Stormtrooper aim and only injures him. So, Mercer responds by... Oh, you're back, are you? After escaping the hunter for the 37th time, we walk into an infested, grimy hallway, where we get the first taste of the marker infiltrating Isaac's mind. Oh yeah, the marker was in that room with us the whole time we were juking the hunter, and that's why Isaac's sanity has taken a very quick drop. We hear the voices of our crewmates replaying from Isaac's memory, which then promptly shifts to Chen's voice speaking directly to Isaac.
But you're on it, right, Isaac? Everything's gonna be just like it was.
For starters, I love when games go psychological. You know this from my Black Ops 6 video, but I love it even more when the psychological horror starts fucking with the game as well as it starts fucking with you. Like Scarecrow crashing your game in Arkham Asylum, or Psycho Mantis forcing you to switch controller ports. And Dead Space has a little bit of that in it as well, by replacing your objective menu with glyphs from the marker. Doing this gives a really good sense on the marker's influence over Isaac's mind. Mercer appears in hologram form, supposedly speaking to his cult or something of the sorts. He drops a bar about how they shouldn't be afraid of the necromorphs because angels too seem monstrous to the unprepared. He then lists Isaac as being a patient and says that we're suffering from mania, delusion, and violent behaviour, which I suppose isn't necessarily a lie. I mean, he is suffering from all those things. He also directly addresses Isaac and asks him what the last straw was, the grief or the guilt, which to first-time players could just be alluding to the deaths of his crew, but this is going to mean something very different a little later on.
Isaac. Sorry, late shift. How are you?
My mother, she's,
Octavia? How's she doing?
she's dead, Nicole. They both are. She killed my dad, then herself. Yeah. The church. They took the bodies before I could,
Oh my God. Oh, Isaac, I'm so sorry. Fucking Unitology brainwashing.
Stop it. Just stop talking. You said she was herself again. You said she would be better at home. I trusted you. God. You might as well have killed him yourself.
She was better. You told me to leave for the Ishimura. You pushed me to... You know what? Go to hell, Isaac.
Nicole. Nicole! Nicole! I didn't... Oh, God. No. Not her, too.
Isaac. It's me. I wish I could talk to you.
She wanted to talk. I didn't.
Sorry.
I can make it right.
I'm sorry.
I can save us both.
About everything.
It's in the smaller room here that we get Nicole's final traceable rig activity. She's looking through Dr. Mercer's notes. He catches her, and they briefly speak about how the necromorphs could be the catalyst to figuring out the cure for death. Mercer takes Nicole's autopsy notes and mentions how they will be very useful in Harris's next surgery. This whole sequence of events really sets a somber tone. Even if we're still not aware of the full story, we know that Nicole's last conversation with Isaac was really harsh. Him blaming her for his parents' death, And now we can understand more of Isaac's guilt towards Nicole, which explains his focus on trying to save her from the Ishimura, aside from the obvious she's his girlfriend plot point. We destroy another tendril, kill a shit ton more enemies, and eventually meet Dr. Kyne. Hello Dr. Kyne. He spouts some more lore into Isaac's brain. When the marker was taken from Aegis 7, it woke the being in the core of the planet. The name for this Big Bertha is the Hive Mind. It controls all of the necromorphs, and Dr. Kyne says that if we leave whilst that thing is still active, then humanity is finished. But the marker should put it back to sleep and stop the outbreak if we return it to Aegis 7. So, with this newfound info, Kyne and Isaac decide to work together to get the marker back on Aegis 7. And with the final tendril destroyed, the way to the ship is cleared. We fight another wave of enemies before setting the marker off on its conveyor belt journey to the ship. We sprint over to the executive ship and install the Singularity Core and test fire the engines to make sure they work.
You're done, you son of a bitch!
They do. Right, let's get this marker loaded.
Bring Convergence! Make us whole!
That was not where I wanted to go, thank you very much. Daniels calls to inform us that the tendrils cause critical damage to the internals of the ship by pulling the marker through it, all the way down to the cargo bay. So, can you guess where we need to go next? This chapter opens with Daniels telling us that the biomass of all the necromorphs that we've killed over the entire game has pulled down into the cargo bay and recombined into something huge. And the marker is inside of it. How ominous. I suppose we better go and find this thing then. We battle a few medium-sized wave of necromorphs whilst moving the marker through the room, and eventually we get attacked by some tendrils as well. But that's not an issue really, so we just keep working. And of course, after this, we get back to the hangar to load the marker onto the ship, which we do. Okay people, let's get the fuck out of here, shall we? Kendra, what did you do? And then she just fucking abandons us?
Sorry, Isaac. I couldn't trust him with the marker.
Kendra, what are you doing?
What my department sent me here to do. Even if the Valor couldn't help me out like I wanted.
Department? Who are you?
I work for EarthGov, cleaning up a very, very old mess. I told you and Hammond that Aegis 7 was off limits. The planet was one big government experiment. The marker, this divine artifact, it was built by human hands.
That's impossible. It's an alien world. The miners dug up the fucking thing.
After it was planted here a few hundred years ago. Even Kyne didn't pick up on that. They found the first marker in some crater on Earth. That one. That was real. Alien. Enough to inspire unitology. Our people studied it and reverse engineered this red marker. But they needed somewhere to test it.
Aegis 7.
You've seen the result. The stuff of nightmares. I thought the old reports were just hysteria. Until I saw what I saw. They sealed off the whole system, buried the records nice and clean. Until CEC got greedy. Those idiots tore Aegis 7 apart and woke up with the old research team left behind.
So EarthGov sent you to sweep it all under the rug. Damn it, we have to return the marker. If anyone else stumbles across Aegis 7...
It was disappeared once. We can do it again. I've seen how the marker fucks with your head. It must be contained. For what it's worth. We made a great team. You'll find another way off the Ishimura. I mean, you're one hell of an engineer.
Your experiment's gonna kill us all! Daniels! It was all for nothing.
So yeah, Kendra was never a part of our team. She was a goddamn mole the entire time. She knew what was going on from the very start, what the marker was, where it came from, and she tried to turn us against Hammond. Now I know some of you may have seen this coming. I grew a bit suspicious of her during my playthrough, but my only suspicion was that she'd been influenced by the marker, and I thought she was just going to go loopy or something. I never thought she was a spy. So, with no hope left, or even any idea on what to do, Nicole comes to the rescue. She tells us to come to the flight control room and to be quick about it. Don't worry, baby snakes, I'm coming. Hello! Nicole lets us know that we can remote pilot the ship that Kendra's on and call it back using this console. We can then steal the ship from her and return the marker. However, Nicole just doesn't sound right, like, at all. She's way too calm and kinda like numb sounding. But I'm sure she's fine. So, we call back Daniels' ship, but she's too scared to face Isaac the murder machine, so she bails in an escape pod. Oh shit, we're in the final stretch now.
I never doubted you, Isaac. I knew you'd come back for me.
Are you ready?
Yes. We're together again. Nothing can stop us now. This isn't how I imagined saying goodbye to the Ishimura.
I'm good.
Are you afraid, Isaac?
No. With you, I can handle anything.
One more ride together, then. This all began in the core of the planet.
Daniel said EarthGov built the marker. Some experiment they abandoned hundreds of years ago.
If you're not ready, the miracle must be as terrifying as a nightmare. The planet is restless, hungry. It'll try to eat us alive. But we have the marker. We'll put things back the way they were. We will be whole again.
And here we are, Aegis 7, where it all originated and where it's all gonna end. This whole section is basically just a glorified lore dump. You do fight a bunch of enemies because, you know, you kind of have to, but the only objective is to move the marker through this facility until it reaches its destination. So I'm gonna skip through most of it. So kicking it off, the gravity tethers on the Ishimura are failing, which means that it's coming down, and it's coming down hard. Isaac and Nicole don't have much time before it'll hit the planet.
But there's a dead space in that signal.
Oh, she said the words, she said the words.
Do you miss them, Isaac?
Kelly and team? Yeah.
And your parents? Your mother was unitologist. She believed.
She believed so much it killed her. Is this what she would have wanted?
She did. Would that make this easier?
Maybe it's a good thing I'll never know.
And the power's failed. So, with one last engineering quest, we have to go out and fix some more generators.
Notifying maintenance. Power restored to West's generator.
Let's get back to the All-Divine marker. And here we go.
Thank you, Isaac. I always believed in you.
Nicole.
We're whole again. We are whole.
Emergency. Geo-orbital gravity tethers offline.
restart the tether. Buy us time.
No.
Rerouting gravity tether controls.
Come on, come on.
Forget it, Isaac. There's no fixing this.
Let her go, Daniels.
Let who go? Can't you see how delusional you are?
We've got to go. The payload from the planet crack is about to fall.
I gave you a chance to come around, Isaac. But if you still won't see it, I'll help you. One last time.
Hold on to your fucking seats.
Rig link override. This time, watch to the end.
Isaac, it's me. I wish I could talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about everything. I just wish I could talk to someone. It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening. Strange. Such a little thing. Just had a talk. That's all this research was in the end. Not much, is it? Just how to make it listen when he begged for convergence. But I had a different prayer. It spoke. And then it listened. Make this stop, I said. Maybe it understood, but... I can't return what was taken. Why can't I see you again, Isaac? I loved you. I always loved you.
Nicole's been dead this whole time. You just couldn't handle it, could you? Because if she's gone, at least now it'll be in safe hands. The marker won't turn anyone else into its puppet. Give me the loader remote. No. It's over. We're whole again. For Christ's sake, I'm not going to ask again, Cross.
No! Enough people have died!
Then just do it. I've got nothing left to lose.
Cross!
It's better this way, Isaac. You'll never recover from what the marker's done to you. And when the tectonic load drops, all this will be buried. Just like Earth doesn't want it.
Wow. Holy shit. Okay, we're about to get deep. This cutscene is the reason the whole game exists. It reveals that Nicole took her own life before the game even starts. She never survived the Necromorph outbreak. She was never on the Ishimura. This completely shatters Isaac's world. He'd seen this recording before, but he refused to believe it. He was in denial and managed to convince himself that she was still alive and needed to be saved. The entire game, Isaac has been driven by the hope that Nicole is still alive. This is the thing that pushes him forward through all the horrors of the Ishimura. As the truth is revealed to us and him, it makes it very clear that he'd been experiencing intense psychological trauma even before being corrupted by the marker. This also ties into the concept of isolation that the game strives to perfect. Both the player and Isaac feel isolated. Of course, we feel isolated because, well, we are, but Isaac's isolation comes from within. He isolates himself in a world where Nicole is still alive, a world where he can save her. The reveal that she'd been dead the whole time shifts the horror from external conflicts into the internal terror of Isaac's mind. And the struggle with the monsters aboard the Ishimura could be mirroring his battle with grief, denial, and guilt. Okay, now let's get some fucking revenge. Running after Daniels and dodging falling debris, we catch up to her as she tries to board the shuttle. I mean, falling rocks are pretty dangerous, but you know what's more dangerous? Oh yeah, baby. We get to directly fight the hive mind. Can you guess how you're supposed to do that? That's right! You shoot the big glowing spots. Do this for long enough and... Holy shit. That was awesome. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Isaac, it's me. Oh, I wish I could talk to you. I'm sorry.
So, Dead Space. What an incredible game. I have a feeling that this remake is going to be as classic as the original Dead Space was and still is. As far as remakes go, I think it's perfect. It creates the same tension and terror that the first one did. It keeps the same art design as the first, and it's a complete upgrade. Not only that, but it adds more depth to the story. In the original game, Isaac didn't have a voice. He was a silent protagonist. But, as you've heard, the remake gives him a voice, which makes the story so much better than the original. It manages to keep you scared even though you know you're more than capable of taking down the enemies, because you never know where they're going to be or how many there are. Again, I never played the first one, so I didn't have an insane love for it like most people. However, the hype was there for me when the remake was announced. I always loved watching people play Dead Space when I was younger, and the remake allowed me to be part of the hype for the game, both new and old. It's quickly become my favourite horror game, and easily my top 10 games of all time. If you've seen my other videos like this, then you'll know what I'm about to say next. If you haven't played Dead Space, I highly recommend it. It's so damn good. It took me about 8.5 hours to complete, so it's not a huge undertaking either. So yeah dudes, play it, it's amazing. Boom! Holy shit, this was a long video, but I'm glad that it was. I put a shitload more substance into this one, but there was more substance for me to talk about as well. The previous games I've talked about were just sort of simple shooters, stuff you take at face value. But Dead Space allowed me the room to talk more about themes and emotions, such as that big paragraph I wrote after finding out Nicole died. Anywho, I hope you like this very long and very thought out video. I certainly enjoyed writing, editing, and recording it. As always, do all that YouTube shit. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the video, especially the length. Me personally, I love having long videos to watch or listen to, but let me know your thoughts. The next one is going to be significantly shorter. Speaking of the next one...
What's happening, boss? We're dropping like flies.
Something out there is killing people. It started transmitting a signal.
Looks like someone had a little trouble parking their boat.
I'm not sure you understand the gravity of the situation, Doctor.
Robin, help me!